How's it going, everybody? What's up, Moses here? This time another Torchlight Frontiers Alpha closer look kind of video on the Dusk Mage. So remember how I said that Dusk Mage was not that great? So I take that back. I just did not really know how to play the Dusk Mage and how the whole thing really works. So here we are, taking another look at the Dusk Mage. I had a level 15. I deleted that level 15 one and I made a new one, level 16 at the moment. And also another thing about it is that I'm not using the kind of like default relic weapon. I had done a lot of farming with the previous character, with the Rail Master, to gain access to crafting materials so I could craft the Flaming Destroyer relic weapon. So in this video we're going to talk about both. So basically, the one thing I didn't really know is how the whole resource management of the Dusk Mage works, and that's what we're going to talk about here. So technically, you have two different kind of like schools of magic. You have your light and your dark schools, kind of like the Diablo 2 trees. We talked about that. The idea is whenever you use a light skill, you hit enemies with a light skill, your dark bar is filling up. Right, and whenever you hit an enemy with like a dark skill, your light bar fills up. When these reach the maximum, which happen after several hits, next time you use the opposite skill, you will gain a buff. If the light bar is up by, attacking with dark skills and hitting enemies, if the light skill bar is up, or the light bar, if that's like maxed out, and you then use a light skill, you will gain a 50% mana generation buff for, I believe it's 10 seconds, though it doesn't say, but I think it seems like 10 seconds. So let's call it that. So when this bar fills up, by using dark skills, you use a light skill, and then you get a 50% mana regeneration, which allows you to really sustain your energy, which was what I found to be problematic with my previous character. Again, I just did not really kind of like, came across these mechanics. I had to learn these things myself. And when you use the light skills, now that you have your 50% mana regeneration, you can pretty much spam this Holy Fury for a long period of time, and while you do that, you attack enemies and this bar fills up. And then all you gotta do is release one entropy ball, and you will gain a 50% global damage buff for 10 seconds. So your kind of like ideal situation would be to have both mana regeneration and 50% damage buff, and that's kind of like the whole kind of like interplay with the Dusk Mage resource. So you gotta make sure that you're using the proper skills to gain the proper buffs, and then you're like super buffed and energized and doing a whole bunch of damage. Alright, so these are my main skills. I'm using Holy Fury and Entropy for my light and dark skills. There are other skills, but from what I tested so far, those are like the strongest. They feel very comfortable to manage your resource with and to gain those buffs with, and those are the ones I'm using. There's also another skill here called Dark Spears. It's basically a slow damage over time kind of thing that slows enemies, so I'm using it sometimes against fast enemies, and that feels kind of good. Over here we have Luminous Run, which is a phasing buff, makes you go through enemies and gives you a small burst of movement speed for a short period of time. When it comes to the skill tree, I only spec 1 point into Luminous Run. I don't think you need any more. I really want to maximize my Holy Fury and my Entropy. The thing is, when you're not getting any more damage buff bonus for those skills, but you are getting by putting more points, but you are getting bonuses to the other school. So when you're putting points here, you'll get some buffs to the light, and when you're putting points here, you'll get some buffs to the dark skills. So it's kind of like there's like a multi-tree synergy going on. And there are, of course, other skills and other buffs, but my character is a bit low level, and I haven't gotten to try so many things. So yeah, this is just kind of like the introduction of the Dusk Mage. Let's talk about the Relic weapon. Relic weapons are basically you get the first one, which is called Blood Drinker, which is kind of like a default relic weapon you can craft, and all characters will very early in the game, like level 3 or level 4 or level 5 or something like that, will have access to that, and you can use that throughout the game. But this is a different one. As I mentioned, I had to farm a lot to get the crafting materials for this thing, and boy, it's actually quite amazing. At first, when I started using it, I was not particularly impressed, but the more points you put into it, the better your gear become, because everything in this game is based on your weapon damage. And when I first started using it, obviously I had garbage gear. Right now I'm also level 16 with kind of garbage gear, but it's kind of a few steps higher than what I initially had in my first few levels starting out the game. So the relic weapon has like several skills, passives and actives that you unlock as you level it up. The maximum level of it is 40, and I'm currently level 17 on my relic weapon. The unfortunate thing across all relic weapons is that you have to distribute 5 points at least to start unlocking points at the bottom, kind of like side of the relic weapon tree, because okay. Basically, Empowering Smash is the activatable. When you pop this thing off, you have 30 seconds of a short damage buff, chance to burn enemies, and you get that smash that's happening, dealing damage over time and burning enemies, adding the chance to burn, and a lot of damage over time thing going on for 30 seconds, and a global 5% increased damage during the activation time. And then there's like a 2-minute cooldown. I have a little bit of relic weapon recharge rate reduction, see 7.2% or something like that. So it's a little less than 2 minutes, but technically it's supposed to be a 2-minute cooldown, so 120 seconds where you cannot activate it. Alright, so this is the first point, and then you have to distribute 5 points into Ignition Source, which makes you burn chance, like increase the burning chance while Framing Destroyer is active. That means basically that whenever you're hitting enemies, you have, with any skill, you have a chance of burning them. And yeah, not a big fan of the fact that you have to put 5 points in this, but you gotta, so that's what we did. Yeah, over here though, this is our activatable skill of this relic weapon, which is great. It's called Sword Smash. It will slam the ground, dealing damage to enemies in a line, and will then leave a burning damage over time sensation to the monsters, killing them. And this will also this thing has like 2 different points you can put into. One reduces its cooldown, so we got 50% Sword Smash cooldown. Base cooldown is 8 seconds. With this, it's only 4 seconds, so it's pretty spammable, and it's quite useful, especially against big, crowds of trash mobs. You just slam the ground with this, and yeah, do the damage. And over here, this is just a passive damage increase to Sword Smash, which will be 50% more damage to Sword Smash, Smash, and yeah, so 10 points here, 10 points here eventually, and then this is some additional passive chance on a burn that enemies will explode on hit. That sound means that the cooldown is now over. So I've been talking for 2 minutes. Cool. So Magma Burst you unlock when the relic weapon is like 15 or something. It's not that great, I don't think. Not because it doesn't have like an icon, but it's just like a passive chance for more AoE on death, right? So when exploding on hit. So I mean, I guess it could be great, but the point is that we have to prioritize, and we only have 23 more points to put in our relic weapon, and Firestorm is where it's at. So Firestorm is a big fireball dealing damage as you attack. It's only 6% chance to proc, its chance to proc on hit with any attack, any spell, any skill that you're using. It will have a 6% chance to proc, dealing, you know, a fireball, throwing a fireball that has quite a lot of damage once you put more points into Smolder. So Firestarter increases the chance by 0.5. So 10 points here will mean 5% more to the base 6% chance, so 11% total, which may not sound like a lot, but you know, with a skill like Entropy that hits multiple target, with a channeling skill like this that continuously ticking and hits multiple targets, I can only imagine that the, you know, 11% proc OF is actually might end up being pretty ridiculously strong, and this is for us to interrogate and investigate. So that's why we're leveling this guy. Of course, it will take both Goblin Frontier and Hyvid Frontier to regain the maximum power of the Relic weapon at level 40, but we have 23 points, so we're going to max out the chance to, you know, proc more fireballs, and then this gains a massive 10% increase per point. So that's 100%, you know, that's a multiplier. You know, that's 100% more damage overall. So instead of 40% weapon damage, it's going to be 80%, effectively doubling the damage of each fireball, which is pretty cool. So the kind of like idea is that in the end I'm going to have this Dusk Mage that is going to throw these entropy balls, and like massive fireballs are going to come in from all sources, and hopefully that's what's going to happen. And yeah, so let's get into this new zone. Now there is a thing here where I might be a little bit under leveled. Actually, if I am under leveled, we can just do a map. But yeah, there's this thing where if you're under-leveled, monsters just take forever to kill. And that's not like because the character is shit or something like that. It's simply because sometimes there's like a big gaps of power until you gain the levels and until you find a couple of pieces of gear, which can totally happen in this case. But I think that in this case it's actually disconnection. Oh no, we are in. Okay. There is a world boss, Sir Alec. Let's go and try and kill this guy. So this is level 18 to 21, see right here? And I'm only level 16, so I'm a bit under level to the zone. Usually what I do is, you know, push it through, but sometimes, see, I'm like, my entropy balls are doing very, very little. But you see how the light bar is filling up as I'm attacking? And when it's full, you'll hear this sound, and then you can get your 50% you know, damage or mana regeneration buff, and then you're filling up your dark skill bar, and throwing a little, you know, throwing a little entropy ball to get the damage buff going. And you can see the buff is like right here. It says. Okay, it says 50% damage bonus. You can trust me on this one. Anyways, yeah, we killed this guy. It wasn't that hard. We may have found a pet upgrade. We in fact did. Let's keep going. Oh yeah, this is actually pretty nice. The sword smash. It's actually quite nice, the fact that you can use it and it's not dependent of your resource at all, so you know, it's just there for you to use on cooldown, and with a 4-second cooldown again. See, like now I have both buffs up, both you know, holy charge and this unholy charge. That makes sense. Ooh, a unique, that's a staff right here. So yeah, one thing that I noticed is actually very impactful. It's kind of a bummer that this thing... Yeah, we can activate the relic weapon. It's kind of a bummer that the tree kind of... See what I mean? Yeah, we're not really doing a whole lot of damage to this guy. This is a unique pack, and I mean... It's a grind. Most certainly a grind. And usually what happens in this situation is 304... Okay, so we just got a whole lot of damage. 344 is kind of a lot. this dark bar. So yeah, the issue with you know, Sword Smash is that it kind of has a really low, like a very narrow hitbox. Oh no, there's another elite pack here. Oh my goodness. You always want to make sure that you have your mana, you know, regeneration buff, because otherwise there could be a problem. You simply run out of mana. But yeah, we got him. And there's another, okay, so that's an elite pack here, which is a single member elite pack, and as you can see, we're burning him down. But yeah, see, that's, I'm still learning how to manage the resource, but yeah, for a second there I was channeling my Holy Fury without having my mana regeneration buff up. Anyways, the thing is that I had a weapon and a shield, and shields are actually quite strong in this game. They provide us with a chance to block. That's it for the demonstration. But like the fact that I found a unique staff, it's you know, it's quite an incredible overall damage increase. And we are in a new zone, and we just found a unique weapon, so I mean, we're definitely using that over a shield right now. But if we find a unique one-hander, I would much rather use that. So this is like 169 damage, and this one is 344. So, but the shield. So shield gives us a 27.3% you know, chance to block, which means all incoming hits. So like a third of all incoming damage is mitigated technically, and the maximum is of block chance is 40%. So you can get 40% all over your gear from different sources, mostly shields and maybe other items, but 40% is very substantial, and it increases your overall kind of like you know, this is like your toughness number, right? Your overall kind of like mitigation and damage reduction, all that kind of stuff. It's a number comprised out of these three numbers: physical damage, fire damage, and goblin damage prevented. And yeah, these stats are those that you stack as much as you can on your gear. And shields are pretty strong, but again, we are doubling our damage here, so it's not really a question. But we will keep this shield in case we find ourselves a better one-hander. Either way, this was it. I'm going to be streaming a little bit before I get to work. Got a night shift tonight in a few hours, so let's upload this thing to YouTube and start the stream. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys on stream. Bye bye.